Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to this healing conversation. Today we're here with Gary Markwick, a palmist, Reiki master and teacher, hypnotherapist that also does past life regression, and an author. I'll just show. Yay. Hi Gary, so nice to see you.
Einav, how are you today? You're good?
Yes, I'm doing great. Really enjoying the lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time. It's kind of like, you have to go beyond the fear, don't you? There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of illusions, and we have to really look within and work on that higher self. To remember who we are and not, get sort of sidetracked and become attached too much with external things, really. So we've got to keep reminding ourselves and coming back and saying it's okay. Everything's fine, and if we can work in meditation or anything like that, it helps a hell of a lot in that. And that's basically it, really. I'm trying to work in the present time. Sometimes we get a little bit, taken away from that, and I have to sort of bring myself back to the present. But yeah, it's fine. It's great. I would have been in India now 3 months. First time in 20 years. I haven't been away actually. So it's kind of a bit strange. Haven't spent a winter here, but the winters aren't as bad as they were when I was a kid. So it's okay now. Yeah, that's fine. Great.
I think you already touched on so many interesting points, really. To leave our attachments to who we think we are. This lockdown really forced all of us to, as you say, really go within.
Totally, 100%. It is difficult for a lot of people, and I've seen a few people with anxiety over the lockdown, and tried to help them as best as I can online, really. But they're okay. It's just I think we all go through this. We all go through phases, don't we? 1 minute we're sort of, I don't know, kind of comfortable with ourselves, and then something triggers something off, and that, so we have, like I said, it's a remembering really, to come back into that, to ground ourselves, and the breathing and that kind of thing. It's important.
It's so easy, isn't it, to keep doing what you do, like if you're in anxiety or if you're in stress mode, and it's just very easy to just go with it and keep imagining more and more things that can go wrong, or just be very much with the feeling.
And totally, it can go one way or the other. On that negative one, those little kind of demons, they kind of play havoc, don't they? They tempt us and come in and say, "Oh look, what about this? And what about that?" So you've got to be pretty strong. Say, and send them away, and say, "These have no power over me. I am in control." We have to say that to ourselves, don't we?
Yes, I'm in control, and you go away, and we're not doing that anymore. Even if we did, not anymore.
No, exactly. Yeah. And it's just strange times. It's never been like this before. It's very strange times for people, and I think it has been, like you say, it's a kind of a big awakening. Really, it's a learning curve, and it's if we can tune into the self. We can learn a hell of a lot from this. We can learn a lot from that, and it can really guide us, and into that. Well, just being who we are, really. It can just guide us and where we're meant to be.
I think this is something that for me as a coach, I definitely see quite a lot nowadays of this. People come to me thinking, I've been in this job or this career for such a long time. But now, and especially with lockdown, I have a lot of time to reflect and to ask myself, is that what I want to do moving forward? It's really, it's things that until now people would just push away and not have time to even worry about it. Now they're forced to do something about it. Now they really are, it's in their face.
100%. I have felt that before the lockdown. I used to say to people, I say like, it's really good to use your left side of the brain, the logical side, and carry on with work and forward. And I always used to say, so what happens if something did happen? Where are you going? Like, there's no outlet. So this is always, if we can use that right side of the brain, even with creativity or something we can enjoy doing to bring us back, you know, to have that outlet, it really creates a big balance in our lives and that kind of thing. And this is the time now where it's given that, as you say, it's given people the chance to do whatever they might like to do, you know, and get in touch with themselves, really.
It's the question, I guess, you know, people that are mostly in any environment, they are connected with their emotions and feelings. They I guess they know how to fall back on this part of themselves. But the people who are more rational and are more logical and really need the practical answers, I think they are really struggling at the moment, because they really need to know what is happening, what is going on, where is the next money coming from, you know, all of that. So
it's just the external factors that create the fear. And it's very difficult, as you say, for a lot of people to be in touch with ourselves and to create that calmness and the balance. I have spoken to a few people and I've said, you know, meditation is a great one. Oh, I can't meditate. Too much stuff comes up in my head, and that's true. You know, it's not easy. You know, I mean, I just become a kind of qualified coach with meditation, but I did it. I've been meditating for many years, and it's never easy, really. You know, you've got to work on it. It's like a muscle there. You know, you've got to work on that focus, and I get distracted many times in that, but you know, and I tried these days, I tried to do an hour of yoga and or 2 hours, hour yoga meditation together and that kind of. And some days I feel like, oh God, what's the time? You know, is it finished yet? And other times, like actually today, it was so easy, it just flew. You know, so I think it's just different energies around us and our minds and how anxious we are or what's going on, and maybe even astrological aspects and things like that, you know, like a full moon, and it can affect us in different ways.
Yeah. Right. Well, there is a saying, I don't know if it's I guess it's a joke or something, and it says that if you you need to do meditation at least 20 minutes a day, but if you're really busy, you need to do, you know, 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, in India, like they could spend 8 hours and like doing that, maybe days. But for us in the Western world, you know, we have got, well, there's a lot of people still working quite hard and that, and we have got schedules to maintain and that. But I think if you've never meditated before, start off with 10 minutes, and then, you know, give it a little bit more, see how you go. Do 20 minutes the next time, and then build it up. But we should never put pressure on ourselves, because the most important thing is to be comfortable in what we're doing. And now your posture is very, very important, and the breathing, of course. But it's just kind of, you know, not beating ourselves up. It's kind of say, wow, that's good. I did 20 minutes today. I'm quite proud of myself. You know, you know what it's like. You're a coach.
The little wins.
You know, self-affirmations and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I recently done a 21 days challenge, and I really enjoyed that, actually. It's yes, I wasn't sure exactly what to expect from that particular challenge, but it went well. I was very pleased that I've done that.
Great. It's really good. I mean, this is it. Once you get into something, you know, you can, God, there's so many benefits to it, you know, with things like meditation, and you can really enjoy it and feel so different. You need less sleep with meditation, really. It does so many things to the brain, it calms the mind, everything. It definitely has a great effect on everything like that.
Yes, but I was wondering also, do you, I guess you see so many people for all of these things that we mentioned that you do these days. Do you notice any difference in the kind of questions or worries or the reasons why people come and see you?
Are you talking about since the lockdown?
Yeah, that's what I had in mind.
A lot of people are anxious, I must admit. And I think it's always the same old questions, really, with palmistry. It's love life, you know, that's always the top And now there's been a lot of stuff going on since the lockdown. Right? A lot of divorces, I should imagine. Yeah, you know, a lot of people come for relationships, careers, very important. I mean, a lot of people haven't got any work at the moment, and that, you know, so I try to help in the best way I can on that level. Relationships are always the hardest because it takes two people, not just one, sometimes more than two. But I don't know really. It's a hard one because I'm so used to seeing people from my home, and now this is online. I'm not seeing as many people. I am seeing people though, you know, and sometimes I get busy, other times not. But so it's kind of hard to judge it, I suppose. Really, I would definitely say there's more. They're more anxious. People are more anxious, and you know, and it's put pressure on whatever they want to know more. So you know, if it's a relationship, they're more anxious about the relationship. If it's career, they're more anxious about the career or whatever it is. Traveling, we're not doing that at the moment, so that's kind of how maybe in the future. And other things like that, you know, that's the two main things I would say. And there's a little bit more, probably more intense. You know, that's what they're feeling at the moment.
Well, I think I was sharing with you earlier. You know, when I first met you, which was probably about 20 years ago. When
yeah, as long as that. Oh my God, I didn't realize that. That's just started.
I think it was 20 years ago. It was like when I came to Camden. Camden used to be my most favorite place in the whole world to just sit there, people watching. I also had a stall there, actually. I was painting on T-shirts and I was trying to sell it there.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, in those days, it was great. It was like a community, and I don't know, it's different vibes, the atmosphere and everything. You know, people were working together, kind of thing.
Yes, it was, because now it's very, very different. But back then, you know, it was. Yeah, I wanted to be a part of it for sure. And when I came to see you, you know, you had that little corner on the stairway. They have a big, big stairway, but it was there.
I moved around actually inside. I was upstairs, downstairs, and you know, all over the place. Yeah.
This was really like, you know, the slightly earlier version of the room under the staircase. You know, it's you had that.
It was a tiny little place, and a lot of people used to come and they just find me. And
it was part of the magic, really. And I remember I didn't really know what to expect, but obviously I was very much interested in some answers, and you told me something. You know, you read something in my palms and said that you know, by a certain year there would be a big change, and I always had it at the back of my mind. So when yes, I did. I carried it with me, and then when the time came, it was about, I think, probably about 5 years ago that I started thinking more seriously about what you said. That, you know, that this is the perfect time for change. That you know, something will happen, and it was interesting because it's yeah, it stayed with me for a long time. And then in my previous career, I was, you know, I was in IT, a user experience designer, looking after websites, making them easier to use. And then I thought to myself, I could really see how my career it wasn't interesting anymore. I didn't want to be there anymore. And then, sure. And then there was that bit of, you know, the back of my mind saying, actually, we, as we said before, you know, I'm coming to that time that I should start thinking about changing my career. And I think it was very helpful to have that kind of like, nearly like a promise that my hands already knew that something is coming.
Well, the thing is, you already knew. You're just bringing it into your hands. Actually, the hands are like, we have these kind of mounts, and they're like the mountains, characteristics. And then you have like the seas, the major lines, and then you've got the minor lines, the rivers, and the flows, and the estuaries, and the blockages, and that. And this is all coming from how we're thinking. Okay, what is kind of predestined? What's our karma? What is the future? Sometimes we don't always know what is what, but these hands are kind of like maps of our life, guidelines and that. And my purpose is to kind of know what you kind of know. So I'm bringing it it's a little bit buried sometimes, and I'm bringing it to the surface, to the conscious mind. And you will say, oh, yes, that's a good idea. Well, yes, thank you. I already knew that. Now I can move on. It just gives you a bit of a push at the time.
Yeah, but that's, and it's funny because this push, in a sense, it was like, I know that it's already there. So it's like I couldn't fail. And what I've done actually was that at the end of because I was a freelancer, so when my contract came to an end, I just said, right, no more. And I closed the gate on my old career, and I went to do the coaching training, which was a very interesting decision, not in the sense of the coaching, that was a wonderful decision, but this clear cut of saying, right, goodbye old world, hello new world.
It's totally different, really, a different path.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah. Sometimes we just need that recognition and say, that's it, I'm moving on. It's a hard one for a lot of people. I see that there's crossroads in a lot of people's hands and that, and certain cycles bring it out as well, certain times in our lives and that. And it's not easy, and some people don't make that change, or maybe they will make it later on. But quite often I'll say to them, this is a good time to move on now. And you did it. You have to be a bit brave to do it, but you've got to go forward. So that was like me leaving Camden. I had to be brave. Right, it's time to move on now.
And this is a really important point, I think, because especially I guess in my coaching, there's a lot of conversations around fear and the comfort zone, and staying where we are at, and being so nervous about making a change or moving into something that is unknown because we haven't done it before, or we haven't done it for a while, or we haven't done it before and it wasn't successful. And actually, yes, to have this trust that you can't fail, really. I mean, because whatever is coming will either be the best thing you could ever imagine, or it will be something that will teach you something that you needed to know before you can move on.
Yeah, exactly. And everything comes at the right time. And I think you're totally right. It's the trust within ourselves. We can all panic a little bit. We can all worry about the future. And I kind of did that myself yesterday, actually. I was thinking, oh my God, now the lockdown's really here. I'm not getting any work. And all of a sudden, then today, and it said to me, and I always get, when I'm facing the back of the house, I don't know, it's facing east, and there's a little pond there, and maybe it's the water as well. And I'm thinking, so I just said, stop, just trust. And all of a sudden, today, 3 people wanted readings. It's funny. As soon as it's a test sometimes. You've got to let go of that and move beyond and just say, it's okay. I'm not holding on to this. I don't have to worry. Things are going to be fine. But I know this is a very, very fine line. It's very hard to do that. But sometimes when we do that, often when we do that, we free up a lot of stuff and things start flowing. When we're holding on to something, whether that's if it's time to let go and we're holding on to it, this causes greater issues. And you could say this is the part of even the lockdown, what it's teaching us. It's time to let go of things. It's time to move on. And when we do that, we become much freer in ourselves and health reasons as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think it's a lot. Some of this fear that people are having is because what they tend to do, or what we tend to do, is to say, okay, here's where I am at the moment, and where I want to be is, there. So if I'm a life coach now, and I say I want to become a judge, I go straight into the judge. I don't actually consider how many years or what experience I need to accumulate until I become a judge. So if I think, okay, I need to do that, it's a huge jump, and the end result of becoming a judge scares me, and it doesn't help to move on. So now we have to
prepare for that. And I think, quite often we ignore our intuition there, and we should listen sometimes to that. We can't live by it, but we can definitely learn a lot from it, can't we?
A lot of people tell me that they don't know how to recognize the intuition. They confuse
It's
the
a fine
intuition.
line. Yeah, it's a fine line. I mean, the thing is, it's usually something that comes very instant. And when you start analyzing it too much, you could go, I won't say you go down the wrong path, because maybe every path is the right one that we choose. But sometimes if we analyze too much, it's just coming from somewhere else. It's not coming from the logical brain and that. So it's the more we practice something, the more we become aware of it, and the more we can catch it and say, where is this coming from? I don't know. It's come from out in the blue. Well, maybe it's trying to tell me something. And but quite often, we'll bury it, or we don't trust that intuition. We'll say like, sometimes it doesn't even register, but other times we'll look at it and thinking, no, I'm not going down that way. And it really is, the more it's practice. Everything's kind of practice. It's like psychic intuition, whatever it is. It's the more we work on it, the more you'll get the answers, and the more aligned we become within ourselves, the quicker you'll get the answers. What you need to know.
Because we say, right, the intuition, it's the answers that come from your unconscious mind. And so if you ask a question, the first answer that comes in, this is it. And I find for myself, sometimes I will ask myself a question, one of the things that actually bothers me a lot in my life is, on LinkedIn, this little blurb of how to call yourself.
That's the hardest one, to call yourself. I used to have, I did music for many years, and I played music, wrote some, and could never think of titles and that, with band names and all that kind of thing, and it is difficult sometimes to put labels onto things to know what you're saying, call yourself.
Yeah, but I with this LinkedIn thing, I just I realized that I can think about it, and I can think about it, and everything that comes up is not the right one, and it's not the right one. And then, like I had one just yesterday, I said to myself, so what do I call myself on LinkedIn? And the answer just arrived. And I was like, I really like that one. And it was so funny that what you said earlier, when you allow for things to come, they do. You don't hold on to it. You say, okay.
And not try too hard as well, because sometimes when we're trying to push things we can push them away from us, and just allow, it's that kind of state of meditation, or just being really, and just allow it to come towards you, the answers, and that kind of, in the present time.
In the present time. So tell me a little bit about you. What, how did you start all of this? Palmistry and Reiki and stuff. What brought you to that direction?
Well, I mean, I guess I could go back to childhood and thinking, my grandfather, my mother and grandfather, they used to do, he was an escapologist. He used to kind of dive out of aeroplanes with straight jackets and into icy cold waters with chains on and all that. But then he developed a mind reading act with the BBC and top to all the theatres around the country, really, with my mother. And she was only 14. He kind of pulled her out of school, put her on stage. She was very shy. He used to put blindfold around her. And they learned this sophisticated code that might be 2,000 people in the audience. And he would pick up, my grandfather would pick up a driving license of the guy in the audience. And he would say, please tell me the driving license, the number and the address of this person. And my mother would read it out. So, this is a very sophisticated code. No one was doing it at the time. It's in the 1950s. She developed quite psychic abilities since then, from clairvoyance. And then they did palmistry. I guess when he retired more, they did palmistry. I used to watch them at race courses and things like that. But when I was maybe 6 years old, 7, I don't know, my grandfather used to paint these cards, psychic cards, and he'd hold them up and in front of me and said, okay, what's this one? Is it round? Is it circle? Is it square? Is it a cross? And he'd do that with playing cards as well. We go through that. So obviously trying to, create a little bit more psychic awareness within me. And I was okay. I was quite good at in those days. But I don't know. As time went on, you know, you follow the logical path, trying to earn money and you know, survive and all that kind of thing. Struggle for many careers and all that kind of thing. It was always there. It was always, and I always felt I could do healing and all that, because my grandpa and mother said, "Oh, we can heal," but I never saw any evidence of that. You know. So anyway, goes on a long way, and then I must have spent a long time. They didn't teach me the palmistry. I watched them with public people. I learned I studied it for quite a long time, because my mother, she was clairvoyant, and she could just look at only knew 3 lines on the hands, and she could, you know, tap into that clairvoyance. And it used to be very exhausting for her. But I wouldn't do that as a backup, you know, so I needed a backup rather. So I had to study it and learn it. And even now I sort of look occasionally and still studying, you know, after so many years. So I did that for a long time. And then I think the first real professional time, apart from doing a little bit, I mean, I traveled the world and gave people free readings for quite a while. But the first professional time was in Camden, I think. It was on the store. And I shared this store with someone, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I can pay the rent. Will you share the store? And I had so many people queuing. It was about 40 people on that day. She goes, "I don't think you need to share the store anymore with me." So it's been an ongoing thing, really. You know, I guess that was the basics of it, and then developing it myself. And it's like anything, really. You're always learning. Like, you know, there's always. I mean, I could look at books and I think, "Oh God, that's interesting." And you know, there's so many aspects of it. Indian palmistry can be a little different from that. Maybe Chinese palmistry as well. So there are different varieties and different versions of things. And that. But yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, really, and always learning, still learning. I teach it as well. I teach the palmistry, 10-week workshops and that kind of thing. And that's interesting because, you know, when I'm doing it on a one-to-one, before at my home, now it's online, and that's interesting because I always learn something. You know, every time I'm sort of teaching it, I'm learning from that person, from different aspects, always. You know? Yeah. So that's it, really. That's been, I guess it's been my main life, apart from doing other things for, well, definitely 20 years and that or more. Professionally, I mean.
Yeah. So I don't know, I'm just curious, but if nothing comes up, then I understand. But I was wondering if there's any, you know, any palm reading or, you know, anything that you remember that stood out, you know, more.
It's kind of weird, yeah. I guess I'm reading over 20,000 people's hands. And you think, God, there's a lot of stories there, and I can't remember anything. But I mean, there's been I've heard some horrific stories, you know, and you know, obviously some positive stories. I think it's kind of weird, really. I don't know. It's just very hard to sort of think of one particular incident. Actually, I could just try to.
Then maybe I can ask a different question. I guess, would you say, like in my coaching, one session is never the same as the next one or another one. How is it in palm reading? Is it or in palmistry, I should say? Is it?
Well, the lines do change, and they can change. I've seen them change in a week. Oh, here's a story for you. So there was a guy working in Camden. You know, he didn't have much money, and so he wasn't going to travel at all. He'd been in Camden for years, and you know, he used to sell artificial flowers. I can't remember. He's done other things anyway. And he said, he came on the store and said, "Oh, go on, have a look at my hand." I said, "I'm always looking at your hand. You know, there's nothing else there to say." "Oh, go on, just have a look." And I looked on his hand, and I thought, there's a faraway country, just a country on his hand there. And I said, could be, I don't know, South America or Australia, I don't know. And he said, "Well, I'm unlikely to go there, am I? I haven't got any money or anything." So I said, "I don't know, it's kind of weird. You haven't been anywhere like that, have you?" He said, "No." Within 2 weeks, he met this girl from Colombia in South America, and they got to know each other. And I don't know how long after that it was, but they got married and they were together. Last time I saw them, they were together 10 years and that. And he went to Colombia to get married. So that was weird because that was within weeks. I mean, really a short time. And I've said to other people, you know, I've seen places like Australia on the hand, and a couple once said, oh, we're emigrating on Monday and things like that. You can't always be so specific, but it does come up. So average, the lines can change, you know, I would say let's say 3 months, maybe longer for some people, less for others than that. As we think, we are creating, and the changes are showing that, you know, sometimes maybe things are already there for predestined, I don't know, you know, but we can change, you know, I do believe we have we have the ability to change things, you know, certain things in our lives. Maybe there are certain things that, you know, beyond our control that we cannot change, obviously. I always believe there's the karma, there's the path goes across like this, and in between we have the playground to make the choices. And,
I like that.
Which way we're going, yeah. We're all going down that way in the end, at the end anyway. So yeah, the lines change, and some people have a lot of lines, some people have a lot less lines. And it's not to do just bending the hands like that, nothing to do with that. But I guess, you know, in the past, I've had so many interesting stories.
And what about number of kids? I guess that's an interesting one, because I was talking to someone, a girl that had a few miscarriages, and I was thinking, can you check that? Can you look at the hand and say, yes, I can see, of course, maybe the birth that didn't materialize, but
it is it's got to be pretty clear, and it can be difficult. It doesn't always shows up more on women's hands than guys, but I have seen it on guys' hands. Yeah, there's another story there. I saw twins once, and the girl 5 years later turned up in Camden with two kids. Oh, there's the twins you were talking about. So you get marking. I've seen miscarriages. I've seen abortions. One young girl, she'd had about 5 abortions, and I only saw about three or four, but I did see more than one. That's for sure. It's not always evident, you know. And you've got to be very careful what you say to people. You know, I've read children's hands and that, so I never frighten anybody. Do it the best way I can, possibly can. I mean, sometimes I could say, maybe I would say, you know, have you ever had a miscarriage? Maybe not, might not be there for the future, but sometimes you may not even know about it. You know, it can be just something like that. Yeah, so children can show up. Sometimes I can see girls, sometimes it can be boys. It can become difficult sometimes because, you know, I said to one woman once, I see like 3 children on your hand. She goes, oh no, they're my horses. So I got 3 horses, or it could be 3 cats or something like that. But usually, no, it's quite difficult because sometimes they're not always attached on what they call the attachment lines. But you don't always know. You know, it can be very confusing, and they're not always so visible.
Not visible.
It's possible to see children. Yeah, it is possible. Not many palmists talk about relationships and children. I've found, and I've since I've been teaching it, I've done a few people that have done other courses, and they didn't mention the relationships at all. So it's a fine line. It's a fine subject, that one. You know, it's kind of.
I know that once, because I've seen you. I think it's 3 times that I've seen you. And I think after one of the times I came home and I was telling my daughters about coming to see you, and then my older daughter was like, right, tell me my future. And I was like, I'll do it, no problem. And I was just, you know, you're going to be fantastic at math, or, you know, you're going to do very good at your homework. You know? And I must have been very convincing because she kept asking me to do it again. And
some people, I read some people's hands the other day, and then I had to record it for them because they didn't remember a thing I said after. But a lot of people these days, you know, when they're coming to the house, they always record on the mobiles and that kind of thing. Yeah. But there can be a lot of stuff there, you know, and, you know, there's so many characteristics, but we share a lot of the same things, you know. So things will come up the same as maybe somebody else and that. But there's a lot of other things there also, you know, that we can.
Yeah.
check to
So
see.
just you know, for people watching, if they want to come and see you and work with you, what, especially I guess with palmistry, what do they need to know before they come to see you, or how is it happening? Tell
Not a
them.
lot. As long as they got two hands. And actually, I did read one guy's hand. He had a prosthetic. I only read one hand. He had a prosthetic hand with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, just be open. Don't be. I mean, I've read a lot of people, and I've read a lot of skeptics, and they've gone away thinking, "Oh, that was really interesting." Like I said, sometimes the skeptics can be the best clients. But in general, it's kind of not expecting too much. You know, there are some people, an older generation, that still may feel palmistry is more like the old gypsy, whereas the fortune telling, you know, and they're going to predict all this kind of stuff. And you've got to look at palmistry as more like a coaching, really, in a way, a guidance, and like, you know, and saying a consultation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a consultation rather than the fairground kind of attitude. And that. I mean, when I worked in Camden, I used to see a lot of lovely people, but there was that aspect also of that fairground kind of attraction. You know what I mean? Sort of cheapening it sometimes, but it's for what it is. It's kind of, you know, if you look at it as like to be open for a guidance to life, and to say, yeah, just to be open, really. And if you need to know something, then that's fine as well. But kind of when we're open, we can tune into what really. I always say to people, if it rings true, you know, then that's fine.
Mm.
If it doesn't, that's also fine. But if it rings true, maybe act upon it. You know, because I'm bringing it to the surface and giving you the confirmation that perhaps you already know to be able to, like that kind of, you know. So it's I see it more these days as a consultation.
I think actually to be open is a great advice to life, right? Because when we come in with our own agenda and our attachments to what we think needs to happen or must happen or should happen, we miss out on so many different things. But when we are open, then we bring in the curiosity. And
yeah, I mean, I'm not one to be too harsh with readings and that. You know, some people might have that, but some people may not like what they hear. So it's good to be open and to be able to accept things as well. You know what I mean? Like that. I mean, I'm not going to rush in and tell them, you know, drastically to do this and that, because it's their choice. But sometimes even with the characteristics, I say, maybe you might need to let go of something in order to move on with this relationship or something like that, you know, or with anything really. So it's just being aware and taking it in. You know, it's hard for some people, but most people are fine. You know, most people are quite happy. I mean, I always say, it doesn't matter who you go to for a reading, you should go away feeling, you should be able to take away something with you, if not quite a few things, and be quite content and quite feeling happy. You know, if you walk away from that person, the reader, and you're feeling very depressed and down, something's not right. Something's not right there, you know. I mean, so I try to give the best, but hopefully most people are happy with that. They usually are.
But I came back, so I can testify that I really enjoyed our readings. So later on, when I publish the conversation, I will also have links to how people can find you and a little bit more about you. So just before we finish, any last words that anything you want to say that we haven't said yet already?
No, I think all I can say is, you know, with the lockdown, it's just, you know, don't worry, nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent, even though it sometimes feels like there's no end to all this. And try to work on yourself, whether it's meditation or not. Just try to relax and just let those thoughts pass and look at those thoughts, whatever's worrying you. Look at them and say, you know, do I really need to worry about this? Is it something that I'm building up that may never happen? You know, because a lot of things never happen, and just look at them, hold them, and say, do I need to worry about this? No. This could be an irrational fear. For now, I'm letting go, and set it up in smoke. You know, just let it go. You know, and kind of practice that, and work on yourself whenever things get a little tough and that kind of thing. But in general, it is really, everything is about working in the present time. And really, there is no future. I mean, as we know it, I'm not really predicting, I'm given a potential future. There is no future. The only time is now. So work on this now time. You know, that's about it, really. I can't think of anything else to say.
In the now is yes, I guess that how I like to think about now is that you have all of your information, all of the tools, all of the wisdom that you need for now to deal with whatever is coming. When you are in the future, you don't, because there is still a gap for you to catch up on, you know, more tools, more wisdoms, more information. So you can't be expected to stand here and know what to do there. So when you stand here,
we're not there, are we? We're only here, and it's the moment. It is the moment, just like that, you know.
Yes, it's already past.
And it's gone. Yeah, that's why it's important also to enjoy that moment if we can.
Yes. Yeah. Wise words to finish a really enjoyable time together. Thank you so much, Gary. And I really encourage everyone watching to get in touch and have your own reading done or healing. There's so many things to do with you.
I'm kind of open most of the time now, and fine, whatever. And hopefully, when the lockdown, when we're allowed to see each other again, then I will be welcoming people to where I am anyway. So, but now it's online.
Everything is online, and it's good that we have that possibility, really. So thank you so much for this wonderful chat, and I'll stop the recording now, but don't go away.
I won't go away. Thank you.
Thank you.